So this will be a continuation and probably maybe the last of the rest slash how do we stabilize a rifle talks. So the first one was bipod versus backpack. The second one was shooting bag, so front and rear, the differences and why we do it. And this one will be primarily field rest, but primarily field rest other than prone. We'll talk about prone too. So two groups, if you will. One is unsupported, one is supported. So we'll do unsupported first. So that means you have no artificial support. You're not using anything other than your body to support the gun. So as a general thought process, we should always be looking for some type of rest or for a better rest or better support. Supporting the gun, resting the gun, supporting ourselves, resting ourselves, stabilizes the gun, makes for better shots, makes for higher hit rates. However, a competent field shooter must be able to shoot from unsupported positions well. There are times that the opportunity is you take a standing offhand shot, or you don't get a shot off, you don't kill the animal. There are times where the only option from speed, distance, height of vegetation is go to a sitting position, a sitting unsupported shot, or a kneeling unsupported shot, or even a prone unsupported shot. So these are classical shooting positions and shooting skills that the modern hunting and competition community, other than like service rifle, etc., but PRS, NRL, and hunters have all but forgotten. And it's silly. Like, it is the foundation of shooting a gun. If the only way you can shoot a rifle and hit things is if you have some artificial support, you have a crutch that you're walking around with. That doesn't mean you'll shoot them as well, although you can shoot exceptionally well with some of these positions, but you should be able to hit things with them. So, like, from most stable to least stable, and probably in the unsupported realm, probably least used to most used, with the last two being about the same or maybe slightly reversed. But so most stable is prone. You lay down, elbows are on the dirt, and you're holding the rifle. In general, with any position, whether it's supported or unsupported, you want to be as low as you can get with as many contact points as you can get. Stabilize the front of the gun first, then the rear. We'll talk about that when we get to the supported positions. But prone is just laying down, elbows in the dirt, elbows on the ground, you're holding the rifle. You should be able to hold the 3 MOA target. So if you put a 3-inch dot at 100 yards, you should be able to put 10 rounds into that 3-inch dot from a prone position. The next would be sitting or kneeling. So you go, sitting is more stable. So there's 3 main versions of sitting, which is you're sitting on your butt, you cross your feet, left over right or right over left, or you have feet open, so the feet aren't crossed. With it, you want to be using as much as possible bone and ligament support, not muscles, so you're not muscling your legs to hold the gun up or hold your elbows up. And again, as many contact points, so we want to dig our elbows hard to soft. So the hard part, the point of the elbow, goes into something soft of the inside of the knee, or vice versa, goes over the top. Maneuver your body position, so your quote-unquote natural point of aim till the rifle is naturally landing on the target. This isn't really a how to do it, just the positions. This one is with some practice. This is sitting and kneeling. You can't 100% tell people what position is better or more stable because flexibility matters so much in this. Ironically, in most things in life, if you are extremely inflexible, you are paying for it. You have a lower performance level than if you are flexible. In sitting, it's kind of the opposite. Now, sitting to me, is never comfortable. It's always slightly uncomfortable at best, but it can be really stable. It should be really stable. I'm not super flexible in my hip joints, especially the last couple of years. That kind of helps because it keeps my legs higher. So elevation is a little bit easier. But sitting, you should be able to hold a 5 MOA target. Usually you can do quite a bit better than that, but I mean, that's kind of the performance level I'm looking for. Kneeling is, front knee in an unsupported, it is front knee up, rear knee down. You can rock back on your heel or on your foot or stretch forward so you're pushed forward. I mean, these are the kind of the major variations. I almost always go into a stretch forward position because kneeling is more stable than standing, faster than sitting, and it's pretty decent. Again, I'm looking at like 6-ish MOA at worst. Is what I would be wanting, 5 to 6 MOA. And this isn't what I do. This is what I would want to see from people. And then offhand, which is just standing with no support. You have the classic, like the offhand, the support hand comes all the way back into the magwell and your elbows resting on your stomach and you're completely bladed. Done correctly, that is the quote unquote most stable position. However, it also matters how many shots you get. I shoot ARs, AR-15s, and shotguns actually, but I shoot AR-15s orders of magnitude more offhand than I do bolt action hunting rifles and at speed. So my stance is far more aggressive. Front hand goes all the way to the forehead, and it looks more like a trap shooter's grip and body position from top up or waist up. A good place to learn unsupported shooting, the fundamentals, the quote unquote fundamentals, the classic way to do it is an Appleseed shoot. So just Google appleseed.com. It's usually done with 22s at 25 meters or 25 yards on reduced size targets. It is an excellent, it's cheap. It's like 30 or 40 bucks for a weekend of shooting. And they tell cool American history while you do it. It's completely politically agnostic, but they emphasize classical marksmanship and shooting for 2 days. Now it's heavily into the shooting sling or the web sling. Slings can help you stabilize. However, the overall thought or philosophy of what we do with shooting is straight and neutral behind the gun with no torque left, right, or up or down. A sling can help you stabilize the gun, but when it's a tight sling, it introduces torque into that gun that you now have to take out. So it's beyond free floated barrels with AR-15s or non-free floated barrels with AR-15s. Using the sling and using a tight sling can and will shift your point of impact depending on the gun and body and all that. So I don't use a sling in the field, but Appleseed is an excellent place to go and learn classical unsupported shooting. Take that, then go practice with your bolt gun, or you can shoot a bolt action during it, but practice with your bolt gun, but without the sling probably for straight and neutral. Okay, that's unsupported. Supported. So as we said, like always looking for a rest or a better rest as I'm walking or moving. As soon as a shot comes up, I am trying to get as low as possible with as many contact points as possible. Stabilize the front first, then the rear. Okay, so as low as possible. If I can go prone, I'm going prone. If I can't go prone, I want to do sitting supported. If I can't do sitting supported, I want to do kneeling supported. If I can't do kneeling supported, then I want to do standing supported. Right? So from low to high. And in some cases, this is where practice and proficiency comes in. I will take a higher position where I can get more contact points than a lower position. Depending on terrain and targets, there are times, although generally rare, where like a sitting position with a front rest only because of the terrain or whatever's going on, I have one contact point, which is the front of the gun, and then one contact point with the back of the gun. So 2 total, if you think of it that way. Or I could go to a standing where I have a front rest and a rear rest plus my contact points. Now that's pretty rare, but it's just that there's a give and take between height and stability and contact points. And we're going for the most consistent shot from any position, right? Okay, so as low as we can get, as many contact points, front first, then rear. So stabilize the front of the gun first, then we stabilize the back of the gun. We do that primarily with our support hand, pinching the bottom of the stock with our thumb and forefinger, and the toe line of the stock, the bottom resting in the V created in the web between the index finger and the thumb, and then something supporting our hand. So you'll see, well, if you go back to the last one, the shooting bags, we don't want something hard. In general, we don't want something hard touching the rear of the gun or even the front of the gun, but especially the rear of the gun due to recoil and reticle jump, point of impact shifts. Also, we don't want to be grabbing the top of the scope. So that there's a lot of that just came from shooting guns that recoiled up and to the right horrifically for a right-handed shooter, and them trying to control that so it doesn't smack them in the face or they don't lose control of the rifle or quote-unquote stabilizing the gun. From a performance aspect, it is terrible. If you are shooting a 14, 15-pound rifle and the bag is doing the work, sure, man, do whatever you want. That is not field shooting. You're not controlling the gun. Also, as has been pointed out quite a few times, and now there's some videos out there, I think MDT did one, putting pressure on a scope, putting pressure on certain scopes causes point of impact shifts because you are bending the tube. And it doesn't take much. There are a lot of very common hunting scopes with turrets and dials that supposedly work for shooting, that just putting your hand on top of the objective of the scope, the front bell, with a little bit of pressure down, like people do, or even the turrets, causes an observable point of impact shift on the target. So beyond all the facts that now I'm not supporting the rear of the gun like I should be, I'm not getting straight line neutral recoil because it's hard to do when you're putting pressure on top of the scope, I'm also potentially causing a point of impact shift. Now, this is non-existent or extremely minimal with good scopes, but by good, I mean durable and reliable that are tough, but most scopes aren't. So it's a compromise in shooting, and it can cause point of impact shifts, and it doesn't help you shoot better. Control the front of the gun, control the rear of the gun. If the gun is recoiling wildly up and right, you have a poorly designed stock or interface with the gun, and you're shooting too much cartridge. Suppress it, break it, or drop down in cartridge. Or you can add weight, but that doesn't do as much that's less than ideal. All right, so again, from prone, this one's easy. Whether it's a bipod or a backpack, rest, or whatever, as low as you can get, straight neutral behind the gun so your spine is in line with the rifle. Elbows are both rested. Stomach on the ground. You want as many contact points as you can get. A bino harness, or if you carry a rear bag or whatever for the rear, or some improvised rest, that's no big deal. Sitting or kneeling with just the pack. So that is using your pack as a front rest. So you stand it vertical in front of you, so upright, rest the front of the gun on it. If you put your hand out in front of you so your palm is facing away from you, you grip the rifle, the forend, and even the barrel at times, but just the forend, you make a C with your thumb and index finger. Again, the palm's facing away from you with your left hand. Those two pinch the stock. The bottom three fingers grab the frame or the pack to stabilize it. So you're just taking how you grab the back of the stock when you're using a rear bag, and you rotate your hand out in front of you so your palm's facing away from you, and that's how you do it. Create a C clamp with your thumb and index finger. That pinches the forend. Can wrap over the barrel. Don't do it super tight. The bottom three fingers, so pinky, ring, and middle finger, clamp over the pack. That controls the bag. Now you have front support. When that position, whether it's sitting or kneeling, your back, in sitting, both elbows should be resting on your knees, or if you can, and especially your right or your strong hand elbow. So you have solid support in the front with the pack. You have solid support in the rear with your elbow to your knee or other object. If you can get both elbows, that's good. When you go to kneeling with this, the front knee, so the left knee for a right-handed shooter, goes down, back knee goes up. That's so your shooting hand, your right hand, or reverse if you're left-handed, that elbow rests on the knee. So you have front support with the pack, rear support with your elbow on your knee. That's pretty self-explanatory. The next way we do it is sitting or kneeling with hiking sticks. So your hiking poles. So sitting and kneeling, whether just with the pack or with poles, accounts for about 70% of the shots on everything but elk that me and the people I hunt with take. The grass is usually just a little too tall. It's all spot and stalk, almost all spot and stalk. Grass or the terrain, the vegetation is just a little too tall for allowing prone. Tripods are too slow because we see them, we need to shoot. And so about 70% of shots, antelope, bear, come from seated or kneeling over the top of the pack, or seated or kneeling with the pack and hiking poles combined. Now, when you use the pack, just like you use it in the front, you can use hiking poles exactly the same in the front. So you can just create an X with them and grab the center and C-clamp. That works. You can take the handles, the loops on the handles, loop them over the opposite pole, cross them, and it creates a cradle on top to shoot with. That works, and you change elevation primarily by spreading the legs further. You can, of course, shorten and lengthen the legs, but you just spread them further to create elevation, and you C-clamp it and control the front of the gun. There's also the quick sticks. So the little, I think Wiser Precision makes them. These little contraptions that you mount on the sticks and they clamp together and twist and it locks the sticks together. That's a neat system. It's, $40 or $50. The way it makes you do it versus using the looped handles on the sticks themselves, it creates a hard point on the front of the gun. Because they lock, you can't really splay the legs out or bring them together, in that your height adjustment now comes from the height of the sticks or angling the sticks away from you or towards you. That's less than ideal. You really, in general, want the sticks to be vertical to the ground or perpendicular to the ground. But it does work. I just find it completely unnecessary. And it creates a hard point, and it's very easy to torque the gun in the front. But they do have this thing called a quick clip now, which you put the quick sticks on, lock it. The quick clip is like a upside down U. It slides in there, and the top of it's like a mini ball head that has a throw lever or a mounting plate that goes onto a Picatinny or Arca rail on your rifle stock. So that's an interesting, it's not really a ball head. It goes forward and backwards. Doesn't really go left and right. I don't think it could. I could be mistaken because I haven't used it. But looking at it, it basically locks the sticks to your rifle, which now makes it like a bipod. So you still have the issues of, it's stiff and it doesn't want to move. So you need to be straight neutral behind the gun. The rifle needs to be parallel to the target, so it's not being torqued. But at least they're now attached, which becomes more convenient for moving and quicker in that regard. Slower to set up initially, quicker if you need to move. And it really comes into play when you combine the sticks with the pack. So ideal is sticks and pack, or front and rear hard rest. So you want the sticks in front and the pack in the rear. And the reason is because when you shoot like this, when the front isn't attached to the rifle, you have to control the front of the gun. So you have to do that C-clamp grip. The pack is much easier to control in the back because it's just a pack. You can squeeze it with your legs, hold it with under your elbow, in your armpit, etc. If you reverse it and you put the pack in front and the sticks in back, the sticks just want to splay out. You have nothing controlling them, so you either grab in the back, which lets the front fall, or whatever. It's just not the way to do it. That, from a seated position, especially when you're facing downhill, shooting downhill, or across the canyon, that is a very good way to shoot, if not my preferred way to shoot across canyon. Is if I can't get prone, I don't fight so my neck is craned at a stupid angle looking up. If I can't get prone, it's seated, sticks in the front, pack in the rear, and it's nearly as stable as prone. When I say nearly, if I'm shooting 10 round groups at 1.2 MOA prone, I'm at 1.4 MOA or so from seated with hiking stick in the front and hiking sticks in the front and pack in the rear. If you have the quick clip system, or quick stick system, and especially with the quick clip, or with the quick clip, then you attach it to the front of the gun. It becomes a front bipod basically, and your left hand now, your support hand, can go to the rear rest and support the rear of the gun. It should do exceptionally well. Same as a bipod in that regard. A lot lighter than a bipod, and the hiking sticks have a lot more uses. So again, front first, rear second. Control the front of the gun first. So C-clamp the pack or the hiking sticks in the front. If you're using both, hiking sticks go in front, pack goes in the rear. Quick sticks, quick clip. With quick clip may be worth looking at. The quick sticks themselves, I'm ambivalent by themselves. Standing with hiking poles or a stick or a tree or whatever, you just use one, shoot off the top of it. You can also, using that kind of C-clamp grip, your bottom three fingers grab the shaft of the pole up and down, and your index finger and thumb C-clamp the rifle, and you can go from standing on top of the pole all the way to the side of the pole, and using the pole as a vertical support, so the gun is on the side of the pole, left or right, and your hand is holding a stick and the rifle, all the way from almost standing to prone. And it's a front rest first, and it works very well, and you can shoot quite well from these positions if you practice. But standing with a hiking pole is much better than standing with nothing. And then, of course, there's always, you can use a tripod for any of these positions, whether you clip into it or you just use the top of the tripod, or I knock the binos of the spotting scope so they're vertical and it creates kind of a flat surface. Use that for the front of the gun. Something goes in the rear, usually. But improvised rest. So you don't have to have a hiking stick to do this. A stick laying next to you works the same. Anything you can see around you that you can use to manipulate to help support you controlling the gun works. So I'll show people all the time where I put the rifle like it's on a rock or something, or it's over a log. So the front of the gun is supported, the front of the gun isn't moving, so that's doing the work. And I'll just grab a stick and put it on the outside, so to the right side of the stock as I'm shooting it, and pinch the bottom of the stock with my thumb and index finger, and my bottom three fingers are wrapped around the vertical stick, and I'm pinching them two together, and I have rear support. But you can do it with anything. It's funny to show people, like, you're prone or you're sitting and the rifle's swaying. You can grab grass, pull the grass tight, then pinch the rifle in that C-clamp grip and dramatically reduce your sway, and we call it grabbing grass. You can do the same thing with branches. I'm standing and I need to take a shot, and let's say it's a little breezy or whatever, and I don't have stability. Grab a branch, a vine or a twig or whatever, or tall grass, pull it tight, set the rifle in it, and that helps you stabilize the front of the gun. You can use rocks, you can use stumps, you can use binos, you can stack packs. As soon as you understand the baseline foundation of what you're trying to achieve, which is consistency and stability as low as possible, front first, then rear, then as many points as contact, anything in your environment can be used. You can shoot off a partner. Now, this past year, I had a guy use my shoulder, so it was a very rush shot after a run after some elk. He said he used my shoulder over the top because we ran out of the tent. He brought nothing with him except his rifle. He said he was steady enough. He shot, he missed. The issue isn't that can't be done using a partner. The issue is that he hasn't practiced it, which he immediately said, "Oh, I shouldn't have taken the shot," or "I need to practice this." But you can use a partner standing. You can use a partner kneeling. Your partner can sit beside you, and you use them for the rear rest to rest your elbow on. It doesn't matter how you accomplish stabilizing yourself to stabilize the gun. Just stabilize it as much as possible, or as much as required to make the shot, and speed or time does factor into this. You don't have all day unless you're willing to pass a lot of shots. I want to kill animals, so I practice, so my skill allows me to do that quicker and faster. I think that kind of wraps up the overview of rest, from bipods to backpacks, front and rear rest, to now improvised shooting rest other than prone, unsupported versus supported. Learn to shoot unsupported, learn to group unsupported and hit. Practice it, practice supported. With all of these, once the gun is zeroed and once, for us, like we put an 1.5-inch dot up or a 2-inch dot. Once they can put 10 rounds consistently in that 2-inch dot, I take them off the sandbags. Now they go to the pack. Prone, I mean. Once they can put 10 rounds into the 2-inch dot prone, I get them out of prone, and they're from sitting, kneeling, offhand, and it works its way up. And then we add time to it. So we stress them out with time. You don't just get to lay there all day and shoot shots. You have to build the position and shoot, break the position, rebuild the position and shoot. There's a plateau that happens. We've talked about precision and accuracy, but it plays into rests and field shooting. Going from a 1.5 MOA prone shooter on the ground very, quickly, 1.5 MOA hitter or shooter proned out to a half MOA shooter or hitter proned out, which is not reality. That doesn't happen. It has almost no dividends in hunting big game, so antelope and above, even at a very long range. It's not why you miss. So instead of going, oh, my load and I am shooting 1.4 inches for 10 rounds, I really need to be sub-MOA and playing with that, you are much better from an actual successful outcome on animals to go, no, now I need to do it quicker. Can I make that same hit rate, same group size, precision at speed? Okay, can I do it from different positions? Can I do it from unsupported positions? So there's a real plateau in base level precision that's required. There's no functional plateau from taking that precision and trying to achieve it quicker and from different positions that are worse or less stable. Overall, I think that's going to wrap up the shooting position and rests. If there's something I didn't cover and that you think should have been, let us know.